Yo, what's happening, guys? It's me, it's your homeboy, Big C, Dick in your ass here with another video. I'm back at you, and I'm gonna be showing you today some fidget spinner stunts, and today we're gonna be doing a spin. What are those? What are those? Damn, David! Greetings and salutations, my beautiful people. I'm Caddicarus, and wasn't that one of the worst openings you could have possibly ever imagined? In recent years on the internet, everybody loves to bitch about bad endings in video games. You know, Halo 2, Mass Effect 3, Fallout 3, Dying Light. But there's not really much discussion about bad beginnings, are there? If a game can't grab you in those first crucial hours, or if not that, even first crucial minutes, you're not only looking at a sour start to what you've just blown £50 on, but potentially even a player who gives up playing and never touches the game again. The starting gate can make or break a video game in a lot of cases, and let's not forget what Lemony Snicket once said. The bad beginning. So here's a list of 10 video games I feel had really shit beginnings, and yeah, this list is in no particular order at all, and please keep in mind, I'm talking about the beginnings of games, not necessarily the whole thing in a few of these cases. Oh, also, my opinion is my opinion, your opinion is your opinion, so go into the comments and don't be a cunt.
Let's start with an easy target, the original Tekken. With Tekken 7 coming out recently, due to playing that and then going back to the very first incarnation on the PS1 in 1995, it may seem rather unfair to compare them both together, but there's nothing wrong with admiring the very early beginnings of game genre innovators and giving them another look today. This is what I'd be saying if Tekken 1 was actually any fun to play compared to literally any other Tekken game, but it's not. Tekken 1 has unfortunately really shown its age with its pathetic list of combos and stiff sluggishness, and that's through no fault of its own. It was an incredible 3D fighter for the time, but that was at the time. Much like how, at the time, the intro FMV cinematic was mind-blowing and really pretty, okay? Yeah, this. You can enjoy the gameplay all you want, but as the first thing you see, the first impressions you get from the game, Tekken 1's opening cinematic looks like a load of Barbie dolls and Action Man toys coming to life and looking for old ladies to tie up and hack their limbs off. Or you could just say they all look like inflatable sex toys. Either way, it looks fucking horrific, and I always skip it, it's so terrible. Does this get you in the mood for fighting? Well, it should, because it makes me want to punch myself in the eyes to stop looking at it. Oh no, fix my eyes! Fix them! Please fix my eyes! I want to look at The Last Guardian and touch the lovely silky Trico with my greasy fingers! Yes, I loved The Last Guardian. I also do understand the criticism for those who felt like it was a huge disappointment though. And one of the many complaints thrown at this companion story epic is that Trico is just too damn real. That is, he has a mind of his own for a bit of the game. As you go on, your bond grows through the gameplay and plot progression, and it truly feels like you're connecting with this giant yet gentle monster. But I will be the first to admit that it has one of the slowest and most unnecessarily frustrating opening hours I've ever played. When Trico and... he hasn't got a name, the boy first meet, and Trico doesn't know if the boy should soothe that strange tickly sensation in his stomach. You have to not only gain this thing's trust, but also try to solve puzzles and platforming challenges while trying to direct it, which Trico doesn't obviously give much of a fuck about yet because he doesn't know you. And you could be there for around 20 to 30 seconds pointing and calling in the same direction or trying to get him to raise his head or jump up, and he'll either do it on command or just do it in his own time and dick you around. Like I said, it gets so much better the more your personalities cement together, but until then, the opening scenes can be a fucking slog. Like that one. It's also worth pointing out that Action 52 on NES is a slog, but it's a big slog, with 52 smaller slogs stapled to it. I'm sure everybody knows about this unlicensed waste of time with 52 games built into one cartridge, and how every single game on that cartridge is either broken, controls like shit, looks like shit, or plays like shit. But the ones that have the worst beginnings are game number 49, Jigsaw, and game number 9, Alfred N. the Fettock. What happens on any normal copy of the game is that you click on them, and then they just don't start at all. If that's not a bad beginning, I don't know what is. You had to pay $200 for this! So let's play something a bit more fun. Rock Band. Even better. How about... Beatles Rock Band! Beatles in a rock band! This game is incredible, my favourite rhythm game next to Rock Band 2 and Guitar Hero 3. As far as basing an original game on popular cultural icons with stages built and artistically created within the game's engine alongside classic instrumental tracks you need to play correctly on with plastic instruments from some of popular music's greatest and most influential tracks, Beatles Rock Band is faithful, effort-filled, and is actually better than it has any right to be. It's a shame then that you need to begin the story mode with tracks from the Beatles' first albums when they were easily at their most shit.
Yeah, you heard me. Come at me. I do not like the early Beatles albums at all. I don't think they can play their instruments very well, the songwriting is ridiculously basic, the lyrics are fucking trash. I just don't like any early Beatles stuff. I don't like any Beatles stuff until Help onwards.
And when you're stuck playing a rhythm game where you need to begin playing through multiple songs that you really don't like until you reach the parts that you actually do enjoy, it's like hell leaked into my living room and smothered by plastic Hofner guitar in black oily piss. So yeah, it's a shit beginning to the game, unless you really like the early Beatles stuff. I don't care what anybody says. And you shouldn't either. I mean, if you love the early Beatles stuff, this will be like Christmas came early for you and Santa personally handed you that giant inflatable Ringo face you wanted so much. So let's move on to something agreeably terrible. Mighty number 9. More like shitey bumbling swine. Yeah. So Shitey Bumbling Swine is a game that I actually don't completely bloody hate. I don't like it and I have no desire to go back to it whatsoever, but I didn't hate it as much as other people did, especially those who kickstarted it when it looked so unbelievably promising. However, nobody could have even slightly anticipated how bad their investment could have been until the beginning happened. Everything wrong with the game can be summed up in the flaccid and lifeless introduction to a game that doesn't really need to exist in the first place, and I had no expectations at all, yet was somehow still disappointed from the first ever explosion I saw. All you need to do is look at how much money this game made and look at this image to realize how bad of a first impression this game would make to anybody. Not to mention lazily cobbled 3D character models that never emote when they speak, lackluster music, great controls that are never fully demonstrated alongside game mechanics that are never fully explained. It's bad enough just as a standalone game, but again, consider the money invested into it and that it came out that long ago, and it makes it even worse. And yes, the game does marginally improve and give you even slightly challenging scenarios and bosses as it goes on, but why would you even bother seeing what else it has to offer when the start of the game is the equivalent of a dog walking into a room, farting and walking out again? Speaking of farts, Ride to Hell Retribution is exactly that, a wet, sloppy, underperforming fart. There's nothing negative I can throw at this game that hasn't already been thrown at it. It looks dire, sounds are outright missing. Hello. The story is garbage and you have sex with women wearing one-piece denim car mechanic uniforms, never changing their facial expressions, but I must agree with the general populace and reiterate that the beginning of this game sucks. I'd argue in a slightly funny way, but yeah, it still sucks. In the space of less than 4 minutes, the game jumps from 5-second snippets of random cutscenes of your character riding a bike, and with no indication, switching you suddenly to a brief but shitty turret section, and then a few seconds later is on another biking clip, and then a fist fight. Wait, are you watching this fist fight? No, you're actually having to play through it. You have to quick time your way through the fist fight, and then you get more cutscenes that have absolutely no relevance or sense to anything, and yeah, you can quickly see why this game is so despised from just the opening 5 minutes. It successfully and unashamedly uses every single hated gaming cliche and badly integrates them alongside even more disjointed and worse cutscenes. There's nothing to this intro at all. What were the devs trying to do with this opening? It doesn't gear you up for anything or make you excited or full of revenge or anything. It just makes you ask questions about your own fucking life choices, and it makes you want to turn the game off.
Maybe we should go back a couple of console generations, you know. Back to the good old days, when games were good. Back in the 90s. Games were only good in the 90s. Games suck now. Everything was perfect in the 90s. Please bring back the 90s. I miss the 90s.
So Crash Bash is a game on the 90s PlayStation released in the year 2000 that...
Wait, it's not the 90s? Fuck.
Anyway, it's a game that I find just unbelievably okay. I made a video about it years ago, in fact.
This thing.
And I have to say, as far as opening cinematics to party games go, next to Sonic Shuffle, Crash Bash is particularly awful and in all the wrong ways to me. At least Sonic Shuffle is hilariously bad and entertaining with how dumb it is.
Welcome to Imaginary World.
But here, well, take a game about 2 voodoo mystic masks in the universe of an orange anthropomorphic bandicoot with jeans on that hold immense amounts of power in the games that they appear in, which is best demonstrated in Crash 3. The evil one is trying to bring about the end of the world with the help of the evil Cortex, and the good one wants to battle him and help you along the quest by providing you extra hits in the gameplay. That's it, it's a simple rivalry and one that's enough to get shit done. Crash Bash, may I remind you, a party game, comes along, however, and gives us an epic dispute in a random temple in a random space dimension with Aku Aku and Uka Uka, literally, as Aku Aku describes,
bickering.
Excuse me, what?
Bickering.
Yes, you heard it. The entire basis of this game's plot is that there is unrest in time and space because Aku Aku and Uka Uka both are just bickering about who is better, good or evil. I'm not joking, it's fucking pathetic. Uka Uka then tries to make it interesting by trying to fight Aku Aku, but then...
No, Uka Uka. The ancients would not allow it.
What? Bullshit! Just be honest, please.
No, Uka Uka.
We have no budget. So hey, these guys can't fight each other, but apparently they can summon other characters to kill each other in battle. Seems really fair, but for whatever reason, they only summon half of the fucking Crash boss lineup and completely invent
Gorilla Monkey Anus Face,
who is one of the worst character concepts in any video game, period. And that's it. That's the story. The boss is in the story mode, no link. There is no story. It's just one of the laziest openings to a game I've ever seen, and it's even worse for trying desperately to appear epic when A, it isn't, B, it's a party game, and C, it isn't. Back to a couple of generations up in that case, let's play Heavy Rain on PS3, a game I still defend to this day for being one of the most enjoyable cinematic adventure games I've ever played, but one with so many flaws it's almost become a joke within itself.
Jason! 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 Jason!
Either way, when this game was sold to me through the advertising, I was promised a gritty crime drama with every choice affecting the story outcome. Multiple branching storylines with different characters who don't know each other but all connect. Tense and suspenseful quick-time cutscenes that all have the difference between a character permanently dying in the story and carrying on, or just continuing with the investigation. Romance, intense graphic violence, great graphics.
And that stuff does happen. After an hour and a little bit after that.
And what do you do in all of that time? You watch the main character Ethan just gloating about how fucking great his life is, and then deal with the aftermath of one of his son's deaths by then watching him mope about how shit his life is. Then he blacks out and the mystery properly begins. That's when it gets good. But for a good 90 minutes, you're left with an intro that has no reason to be this long.
Jeez, I really love the rain effect on this special edition. It's fucking pretty. It's heavy rain on the heavy rain.
Everything here is set on a straight path. You can't affect anything here at all, so all the gameplay interaction is mundane shit. You could argue it helps you get used to the control style, quick time events and dialogue tree system in the safest way possible, but for fucking 90 minutes! You do some designing work for your job. You help your wife with shopping. You watch this empty husk of a robot try to kindle a relationship with his kids whom David Cage desperately wants you to feel emotions for before the inevitable death. You watch one of your sons be a rude and utterly stupid, selfish brat who runs off in a crowded shopping mall and into the street while you have to scream after him. Jason! Then you shout for him across the road and watch him be an even bigger idiot, followed by watching him die, somehow. How does he die? I still don't know. Did Ethan crush him? I figured that'd just hurt him, not kill him instantly. And then it's the slow opening credits, and then you're in the future trying to look after the remaining alive child as you make dinner, force him to do homework, and sit, and then get him ready for bed.
Does this sound unbearably boring? Yeah, I bet it does. And I just quickly summarised it in a brief paragraph. Imagine having to sit down and play through this stuff before any of the good things happen for over an hour.
Ugh, maybe this isn't where you need to go to get the best games. Let's go back again and play 1999's Driver on PS1. A very fun and bouncy, if little tricky gangster crime game that innovated a lot for its genre. You're a getaway driver that has to do getaway missions, along with deliveries, tailing, avoiding police, smashing up everything as long as you don't burn out, and it really was a blast, especially for the time. It's just a huge fucking shame that the very beginning is the worst bit by far. In a totally unskippable tutorial, you are forced into a series of to-do list chores for your car in a parking lot, and you have to just keep replaying it until you get it right. No ifs, ands, or buts, just be perfect straight away, and it's far too unfair. Why have you got to be perfect? Because there's a 60-second time limit. And why is this unfair? Not just because it's the first fucking mission, but there are absolutely no directions, no instructions, no control information, and there's nothing telling you how to do any of these moves, or what some of them even are. You'll do a 180, but you're a few singular degrees off, so it won't count. You'll do a 360, but you weren't using the handbrake, so it won't count. You'll do an emergency stop, but you weren't going fast enough in a straight line before you brake, so it won't count. And like I said, you're given 60 seconds to do all of this in one perfect shot, and you're given absolutely no feedback on what you did wrong or even a vague clue on what to do in the first place. If you're lucky enough, you'll win by pure accidental chance, and if you breathe angrily enough towards the PS1 in frustration, causing a few dust particles to go into a specific part of the system that makes the tutorial of Driver less of a ball ache. In concept, it wasn't terrible. It's vital to know how you do all of these moves in the main game, but this is not how you do it. And for an unskippable tutorial, please, game devs, never make this mistake again. And here we go, the final game in this list, and I must stress, this list wasn't in any particular order at all, but when I was scripting this video, there was one game that I immediately thought of that nearly made me not even fucking bother with the rest of what is in essence a fantastic game. It was the inspiration for this list. I must stress though, not necessarily the worst on this list at all, but still pretty memorably awful as far as I'm concerned. And I'm about to anger a large part of the internet for even daring to say it.
But you know, fuck it, what have I got to lose? I'm so sorry.
The beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2 is bad. I'm sorry, I hate it. And if you love it, that's fantastic, great. But I will never ever see in it what you do. What you have here is a ridiculously long introduction to our kind of sort of main characters for the time being. And it does some things right. Visually and musically, it's a gorgeous atmospheric opening. You get the right kinds of tutorials in safety and depth, and you get some cool little mysteries spliced in to plant the seeds of a much bigger story. I'm fine with this. But why does it all have to be so fucking boring? You think Metal Gear Solid takes a while to get going sometimes? Well, take away the serious shit like nuclear annihilation and the nature of the digital age dangerously combining with war and information getting so out of hand that human thought is able to be manipulated, and instead replace that with a blonde kid running around with a big stick. It's not much different, actually. Okay, replace it with a group of teenagers saving money to catch a train to get out of a town, and you have something that really doesn't need to have cutscenes so ridiculously bloated and long with literally nothing happening in them with horrifically uninteresting characters.
Cypher's gone too far this time.
Do something! And totally redundant gameplay. The Twilight Town prologue part of Kingdom Hearts 2 is one that just never seems to end, and nothing that interesting ever really happens story-wise or gameplay-wise. You just sit around day after day and watch these boring, forgettable slates talk to each other, deal with bullies, do occasional minigames, speak to the boring locals about things that need doing, do actual jobs around the town because you're a teenager that needs to make money. God, where's Mickey Moist? And yes, you could always rush the gameplay and skip the cutscenes, but unless you've played the game before, that's an invalid argument as far as I'm concerned. You won't know how to speed through it, and you'll have to miss out on every single aspect of what important story is hiding in these massive stale conversations about summer vacation and ice cream. Don't get me wrong, there is intrigue, there are things worth paying attention to, but in my personal opinion, it's far too buried in a load of old boring tripe. And don't get me wrong, I love long cutscenes. The cutscenes aren't really the problem here, it's the whole package. It just keeps going and going and going, never growing in excitement or tension, never making you play anything interesting, and the location, setup, characters, music, none of it changes for a long, long time. This is an action RPG with Disney and Final Fantasy. Why isn't this so much snappier? At least with Metal Gear, you actually do shit in between the chit-chat. You don't chat, run around, and then speak to a lady about a missing cat and then chat again. You get snippets of something going on, and then it cuts back to the shit you don't care about. And the problem is that it's the vital shit that you should care about. It's just presented in such a sleepy and drawn-out way, and like I said, this isn't Metal Gear, it's Mickey Mouse. Why take this approach in the first place?
Okay, enough of that. I'm done. Enough with the ranting. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm sure I've made enough people cry today, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video of 10 shit game beginnings. And you go down into the comments and you type your bad beginnings. This is where I need to script, don't I? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Do you have a 10 shit beginnings? Do you have any other beginnings I might have missed out on or anything like that? You just let me know down below. And of course, if it's your birthday today or watching this video, happy frick birthday to you, and please remember to stay beautiful.
Hello everybody, please stay tuned for the outtakes. They will be on in just a bit, so stay tuned, they'll be at the end of this video. But first, I'd like to spend a couple of seconds thanking all of my Patreon supporters that are on the screen right this second. If you go to the description or at the end of this video, there's a little link. You'll find my Patreon page where you can see a handful of like little rewards I have. But all of these people on the screen right now, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. You are helping keep the show alive in some of YouTube's absolute darkest times with the ad boycott and everything going on. It means more to me than you can imagine. And also thank all of you for watching this video in the first place. You're also helping contribute to keeping the show alive. So thank you. Thanks to every single one of these people. And also, because of one of the rewards on my Patreon page, I have to give a very, very, very special shout out thank you to these couple of patrons here. I have to say thank you to Omar Matu, Patrick Ferguson, Nicole Ganara, and Andy Ellis. Thank you, all of you. You're all incredible. Thank you so much. And until next time.
The starting gate can make or break a... That is a fucking tongue twister. The starting gate can make or break. The starting gate can make a break. The starting gate can make a gate... Yes, the starting gate can make a gate. The starting gate can make or... The starting gate can be the... The starting gate can be a make or...